Today, many of us live in a man-made world with all its conveniences, opportunities, and demands. And after a while, we forget to notice the beauty and the power and the wonder of God's creation that surrounds us. Our world is filled with competing noises and activities, each one shouting for our attention. But slow down, refocus, and you'll be drawn to a harmony of voices that encircle the globe and gather from the farthest ends of the universe, proclaiming the glory of God, the designer and creator of everything we see and don't see. In Flight and Spike, the second of this three-part video series, you'll discover how God is making himself known in unmistakable ways through creation. So come on, let's join Dr. Job Martin and Dan the Animal Man on a spectacular journey from deep inside the earth to jungles and deserts and to the farthest reaches of space in Creation Proclaims Flight and Spike.
If I was hanging upside down like this, I could only last for a few minutes. We're going to talk about a creature that can hang upside down all day long. It's a bat.
Well, Dr. Martin, this is an Egyptian fruit bat, and bats are just decided to hang upside down. Most people call it upside down, but to them it's right side up. They can hang as long as they need to. It's not an issue for them. It's an issue for us, which is upside down.
So they just hang on there.
Yep, that's just a natural way that they do what they do. You see that?
Yes.
Look at this. Look at their claws. Their toes are all in the front. They don't have an opposable thumb like a primate would. They've got 5 toes that actually hook that help them to hold on to rock ledges. These guys can hang on to most anything. Even just a wall. It's amazing how sharp these little claws are, and allow them to dig those in to hold on.
If the feet of the bat were like our feet, for instance, they point the same way that your face points, it would make it much more difficult for it when it's hanging upside down, when it wants to take off and fly away. The feet would be behind the stick instead of in front of the stick or whatever, and it would hinder it. That is an advantage for when they're hanging by their feet upside down and they need to take off, they can let go and they're on the way.
Bats have a pelvic anatomy specifically designed so that they can hang from wherever it is that they are staying during the day, but also for the female bat in order to give birth to live young. So all of this has a very unique type of pelvic anatomy which is not seen in some of the insectivores that the bats allegedly evolved from.
He has a face like a little fox.
Yeah, matter of fact, he's called the flying fox. This is one of the smaller flying foxes. Let me give you a little example of his wingspan here. Look at that. That's his thumb right there. You see his thumb right there?
Right
yeah,
here.
that's his thumb. And then he's got 4 fingers. Go ahead. Hold his wing out for me there.
Okay.
Good, just like that. Look at that. Wow. Here's a thumb, or the thumb, and then here's a finger, a representation of fingers anyway. They're not like ours or like a typical mammal would be. But this creature has like balloon-like membrane here. Look how it's stretchy. See how it's stretchy?
Yes.
And it has blood vessels in there.
I can
it's
see
amazing.
those.
Great design for doing what he does,
Yes.
which is fly all over the place.
The smallest mammal is called a kitty, K-I-T-T-I, a Kitti's hog-nosed bat. This little bat, its nickname is the bumblebee bat because it's not much bigger than a bumblebee. It weighs about 1.5 grams to 2 grams. It's only like 1 inch or a little more long, and it's just this tiny, tiny little bat, but it's fully functional. And then you have these, what they call the flying foxes of Africa and Asia, 6 to 7 foot wingspan. So you have bats that are true flying mammal bats from anywhere from 1.5 grams to a 6-7 foot wingspan. I think it's amazing what our God has done. Well, now, most people think that bats find their food with what they call echolocation. They have like sonar. They shoot out these sounds, and then they come back, and they can tell what they're going to eat.
Bats are able to send out these ultrasonic chirps in such a way that they strike its victim, something as small as a mosquito, and then those ultrasonic chirps are directed back to the bat in such a way that the bat receives the information and simultaneously makes in-flight course corrections in order to go into that mosquito's path and thereby getting a hot lunch.
The fruit bat is actually a fruit eater. So he eats plants and things like that. So he mainly uses his great sense of smell and his incredible eyesight. They have absolutely amazing eyesight at night. Matter of fact, it's referred to as night vision, kind of like an owl. They eat just about any kind of fruit that they can come across. In captivity, we feed them a lot of soft fruits, peaches, nectarines, papaya, mango, and that would be the same things that they would eat out in the wild. Lots of banana, and they would also eat some leafy greens out in the wild, things like that.
How long do they live?
These guys live about 20 years in captivity. In the wild, they live about 15 to 18, somewhere around there.
Yes. And they have
in captivity a little bit more than 20.
And like babies, they have 1, 2, 5, 10?
They have one at a time, sometimes twins.
And can they carry their babies, the mother?
Yeah, they carry them right on their belly.
They hold them in there?
They hang on there, they nurse for a while, and then they fly off on their own too.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that neat?
They can fly in hundreds of thousands, like coming out of that cave down there in South Texas, and they don't bump into each other. They are able to go find their food with their echolocation. They can spot something the width of a human hair and tell exactly what it is and where it is. And then they fly back into the cave a little bit before dawn, and the mother bats, and there might be thousands of baby bats, and the mother bats and the baby bats can communicate so that the mother knows exactly which baby bat is her baby bat. You would wonder how, though, with 100,000 bats chirping away, a mama bat can go right through all that to her little bat. Then, I haven't seen a bat like this in the United States. Are they here in the United States, or where are they from?
These are from northern Africa, Egypt, and all over the Middle East, Afghanistan, and all those areas. Yeah, and these guys, they make their homes not only in the forest, the thick forest, or gardens areas, you know, with thick forest, but they also live in cliff crevices and places like that where they can get in and hide that are maybe cool.
And they're a mammal.
They're a mammal.
So they're a flying mammal.
Yep.
Well, you think about that. You have flying mammals, flying insects, flying birds, flying reptiles. Four different creatures have 4 different kinds of flight. Some statisticians and people that work with probability say if it's mindless, accidental, chance processes, no God, no direction, no purpose, for flight to come about, it's mathematically impossible. So this bat then would be a good example, I would think, of a designed creation. They're a mammal. They're the only flying mammal. How would a mammal get its feet on backwards? How would its joints be rotated 90 degrees out? And it's unique among all the mammals. Where would that come from? What is the evolutionary ancestor of the bat? Well, they'll say, well, it's maybe flying squirrels, or it's gliding animals. Well, their feet aren't on backwards, their knees aren't rotated out, they don't have flapping wings. And so the bats are utterly unique among mammals, and there's no transitional form to get them there. I think it's another evidence that we need to take a careful look at. I think God did it just like he says he did, and he talks about bats in the Bible. He made bats, and he talks about bats. Well, this bat reminds me of the fact that it's getting very hot and needs to go to bed. Because it's his bedtime, it's daytime, right?
It's in the middle of the day for him, which is actually his night, or our night, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not backwards, he's just designed different.
What does Psalm 19 say? It says, the heavens declare the glory of God, verse 1. And as we look around, what do we see? We see design, we see symmetry, we see beauty, we see regularity, predictability, laws. All of these things scream, somebody did this. And I think it's screaming, there is a creator, there is a God, and he did what he says he did.
The Bible tells us over and over that creation comes together in a harmony of voices that encircle the globe and gather from the farthest ends of the universe, proclaiming the glory of God, the designer and creator of everything we see and don't see. I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all thy marvelous works.